Shalom lekulam. Welcome back to Davening with Meaning. We're the second class. Today we're going to be discussing Netilat Yadayim. Netilat Yadayim is washing our hands in the morning. We'll first explain a few halachot of how we do it, why we do it, and then we'll get into the depth of our neshama, our soul, tum'ah, tahara, being pure, being impure. But we'll first explain. The Shulchan Aruch gives the psak that from the moment we wake up, we have to do very, very quickly Netilat Yadayim. We have to wash our hands using a washing cup. It doesn't have to necessarily be a specific type of cup, but we have to have enough water in order to wash our hands well. Most poskim say it's 3 times on each hand, one. There are some that say that you need 2 on each hand, also l'sirugin, meaning you start on washing your right hand and then your left, and then again your right, and then again your left. So either 2 times each hand or 3 times. There's a little bit of a machloket, but the Shulchan Aruch says that it needs to be within the first daled amot of where you sleep. Meaning, first 2 meters of where you sleep, when you get up, that's when you should wash your hands. There are those who are a little bit more machmir, and they bring a natla, they bring this washing cup with water at night in order to, mamash, when they wake up, even sitting in their bed, they wash their hands into like a big bowl. That's considered a chumrah. You don't have to do so. You could go to the closest faucet and do Netilat Yadayim. It's important to make sure that if we do Netilat Yadayim in the morning, and it shouldn't be in a bathroom, we should say the bracha in a place that we're allowed to say a bracha, but the Netilat Yadayim needs to be one of the first things that we do in the morning. So we fill up the water, and then we say this. We do the Netilah, okay? We do the action of washing our hands, and only afterwards, when we wipe our hands, we say the bracha. Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. We make the bracha after we do the action, which is very different than most other brachas that we have in Judaism. Usually we make the bracha and then we do the action. Imagine if you want to come and have a sandwich. So first you're going to say, Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, and then you take the bite into the sandwich. Almost every single bracha, we first do the bracha and then the action. Here, we're doing the action and then the bracha. Now the reason for that, the logic behind it, is the same logic, the same reason that in Modeh Ani, we don't say Shem Hashem, we don't say Hashem's name. And the reason is because we're not pure yet. When we go to sleep, there's something called Tum'at Yadayim, right? Our hands are still impure. We have something that's impure with us when we go to sleep. When we wake up, we're trying to overcome that and become pure again. Now, there's a lot of different ways to understand what purity means. I want to first explain the way Christianity understands impurity in order to try to understand where people might be mistaken, okay? In Christianity, they view impure as something that's bad, as something that's evil, as something that's dirty, right? And I mean, if you go with Catholicism, I know this is it's a Torah class, it's a Jewish class. We'll go back in a second just to understand. They say that this world is impure, and if you want to be holy, you go to a priest or you go to the church, and that's where you can become holy. But everything in this world is impure. Judaism is legamre not there. Judaism, we believe, the Torah teaches us that everything in this world can be pure. Everything has nitzotzot, everything has a pure spark. But it's our job to find the kedusha within this world, within the chol, with the material, the chomer, to try to elevate it and bring it up to a holy madrega. So what is impure? What does that mean? Impure in Judaism, usually, almost in every case, is lack of potential. Meaning, if there's something that's pure, there's a lot of potential there. Okay? The biggest impurity, avi avot tum'ah, the biggest impure thing in Judaism is a dead body. A dead body shows us the lack of potential, meaning there was a lot of potential. There was a neshama, that body had a soul, and that neshama was able to do good deeds in this world. It was able to do Torah, mitzvot, good deeds, the shlichut that it was brought here to do. And then when that person dies, when that neshama goes back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then that body is left here without any potential. Then it just becomes material again. It becomes chomer. And that chomer, we have to take care of it, we have to bury it. But the neshama, all the potential is lost. That's why that is the biggest tum'ah. We have other types of tumot. We have tumat nida. When a woman's in her period, she's also considered tme'ah. Not that she's tme'ah, there is tum'ah on her. Why? Because there was potential to get pregnant, right? And that potential was not met. And then the period happens. So she is now in tum'ah. Does that mean she's always tme'ah? No. there will be the tahara after the mikvah, but we'll get into why a mikvah, why water. But there is a status of, yes, there was a certain amount of potential here. It was not met. She did not get pregnant, and therefore there's tumah. There's also tumah in sleep. Now we know that a woman that gets her period, that's nature, that's a healthy thing. Someone that goes to sleep, we need to go to sleep. If we don't go to sleep, we're not going to survive. It's not a bad thing. But we need to be aware that the hours that we sleep, our potential is less than when we're awake. When we're awake, we're able to be active. We're able to do good stuff. Mitzvot, Torah, Maasim Torah. We're able to be active in this world. We have potential. When we go to sleep, Chazal say that sleep is 1/60th of death, right? And a dream, Chazal say in Masechet Berachot, is 1/60th of a nevuah, of a prophecy. And 1/60th we see in a lot of different places. I think one of the most classic places to see it is with Dinei Kashrut. When we're dealing with basar v'chalav, if a drop of milk goes into a pot, that there are 60 times that milk, right? We're talking about a fleshik pot, a besari pot of meat. So the ma'achal, the tafshil, is still kosher. So what does that mean? That means 1/60th, it's a thing. There is milk in that pot, but there's 60 times the amount of fluids and meat and whatever it might be, potatoes, vegetables, whatever it might be, and then the milk is as if it's not there. It's there, but it's as if it's not there. So when we go to sleep, it's not that we're dead, but there's a little bit resemblance to death. Why? Because we're passive, we're not active. A dream is a time that we're not really here. Meaning, we're able to get to a thought, to see a vision that is not in our realm. So it's kind of like a prophecy. Is it a prophecy? Not necessarily. It's 1/60th of a prophecy, right? So we have a little bit of death when we go to sleep. In the morning, we go do Netilat Yadayim. The water is the main element in this world that we're able to overcome our tum'ah. We're able to overcome it and be in a more pure place. It's a beautiful thing about the water. The water is the potential of the world. Without water, 3-4 days go by and everything we know dies. Humanity, all the animals, all the trees, all the vegetables, everything in this world needs water, because water is the potential. And that's why when we're in Tum'ah, we go into a mikvah. We cover ourselves in the body of water, and it needs to be makol mayim chayim. It needs to be water that is lively, right? And when we have Tumat Yadayim, so we take water, we put it into the cup, and we wash our hands, because we're bringing back that element of potential back into our life. So next time we do Netilat Yadayim, we have to remember that being impure is not a bad thing, but it is something that reminds us that we lacked a certain amount of potential, and by overcoming that, we're bringing back the potential into our life. Have a wonderful day.